Do you believe an apartment can have a mind of its own? Today, you're going to hear a true story that will never leave your head. If you love stories that chill you to the bone, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this with that friend who loves a little late night terror. Story 1. The Shadow at Apartment 407. I moved into that building in Boston during the fall, right after a brutal breakup and losing my job. The rent was way too cheap for the area, and it didn't take long to figure out why. Apartment 407 felt frozen in time, stained carpets, a musty smell, and a darkness that even the morning sun couldn't break through. I should have paid more attention to the weird look the building manager gave me, or the way the woman in 405 hesitated before forcing out a good luck. But I was too drained to care about superstition. That first night, I woke up at exactly 3:15 a.m. to the sound of footsteps above me. That was strange, because the unit upstairs was supposed to be vacant, according to the realtor. Still, I told myself it was just old pipes or the building settling with the cold. The problem was, the footsteps were deliberate. Back and forth. Like someone pacing. When I got up to check, the noise stopped instantly. A thick silence filled the room, and I could feel something watching me from the far corner of the living room. Over the next few days, little things started to change. The TV turned on by itself, always to a static channel. Items moved a few inches overnight. But what really got to me was the bathroom mirror. Every morning it looked dirtier, like city fingers had dragged across it. One time, I wrote "clean IT" with my finger, and the next night, there was a reply underneath, "I didn't." That's when I realized it wasn't just my imagination or exhaustion. There was something here. Something old. I went to talk to the lady in 405, the same one who looked nervous the day I moved in. She shut her door the second I mentioned my apartment number. All she said was, "Never look into the mirror at midnight, and don't enter the front bedroom after dark." I didn't understand until the next night. A little after 12:05, I heard the mirror in the bathroom creaking, like something was clawing at it from the inside. I froze for what felt like hours before finally walking in. I saw nothing. Just my reflection. But then it blinked. And I didn't. That night I tried sleeping on the couch. Or at least, I tried. I woke up to the sound of someone banging their head against the wall again and again from the front bedroom. I got up slowly, every step feeling heavier than the last. When I opened the door, the streetlight revealed red smears on the walls, like bloody hands had been dragged across them. And in the far corner, a tall, twisted shadow stared right at me. Its eyes were two hollow pits, and when it stepped forward, my whole body locked up. The next morning, I packed everything and decided I was done. But when I got to the front door, it wouldn't open. The lock spun freely, useless. I tried the windows, yelled for help, but everything was sealed. It felt like the apartment had swallowed me whole. Then I saw one final message written on the bathroom mirror, "You stayed." I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up on the floor with a pounding headache and the mirror shattered. I escaped that morning after a delivery guy heard my screams. When I looked back at apartment 407 one last time, I saw my reflection in the window, waving at me, even though I was already outside. Story 2. The apartment upstairs was never empty. I moved into an old building in Queens, New York, at the end of January. I had stumbled upon the listing by chance, and the price was way below market value. The realtor told me the apartment upstairs had been vacant for years and that the building was very quiet. That's exactly what I was looking for. After years of living in chaos, I needed peace. But on my first night, I started to notice a strange sound coming from the ceiling. It wasn't exactly footsteps. It sounded like someone was dragging their feet slowly, almost lazily, always in the same pattern. A long drag, pause, then another. In the first few days, I tried to ignore it. I put on headphones, played ambient music, even slept with the lights on. But the sounds didn't stop. Sometimes, there were soft knocks on the walls, like bony fingers tapping against the drywall. The weirdest part was when I asked the building manager about it. He just lowered his head and said, "The one upstairs? Oh, that one's never been empty." That gave me chills, but he quickly changed the subject, as if he had said more than he meant to. From that day on, I started to feel like I was being watched inside the apartment. The feeling was constant, especially in the bathroom and the hallway that led to my bedroom. One night, around 3 in the morning, I heard something different. A voice. Faint, like it was trying to break through the walls. It whispered my name with a slow, dragging cadence. I got up slowly, trying to figure out where it was coming from. As I passed through the hallway, I felt a cold draft, like someone had opened a window, but all the windows were locked. The voice seemed to come from the ceiling. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a chair, and climbed up to touch the drywall above the hallway. It was damp. And then I heard a sharp thud from the other side, like someone had pressed their face against it, and took a deep breath. Things started to escalate after that night. Appliances would turn off by themselves, the water from the faucet would come out reddish for a few seconds before returning to normal, and a strong smell of rust began to fill the air late at night. I started having dreams about a pale woman, her hair soaked and her eyes empty, crawling across the ceiling while I slept. She would stare at me upside down, as if defying the laws of physics. I'd wake up sweating, screaming, sometimes with faint scratches on my chest and back. The elderly woman who lived on the floor below called me one day and asked if I could see her too. I didn't need to ask who she was. I decided to go upstairs, even though I knew the place was supposed to be vacant. The door was locked, but the lock seemed old, almost corroded. With a strong push, it gave way. The apartment upstairs was completely dark, empty of furniture, covered in a fine layer of dust. But there were marks. Footprints, as if someone had walked through there recently. In the back bedroom, I found a cracked mirror with words scratched into the wall, "Come back down." Before I could react, I heard the door slam shut behind me. And the voice whispered my name again, now just inches from my neck. I fled the building that very night. I grabbed a few essentials and left the rest behind. Months later, I tried to find information about the previous tenants. I discovered that a woman had died in the apartment upstairs 10 years ago. She slipped in the bathroom, hit her head, and lay there for days until her body was discovered. But the strange part is that no one could tell me her name. Not even the building manager. It was as if she had been erased from the building's history. I still dream about her sometimes. I still hear those dragging footsteps while I'm alone in silence. As if she followed me and is just waiting for the right moment to open another door. Story 3, 203, The Sound Behind the Wall. I moved to Portland for a fresh start. My divorce had destroyed everything, and I needed a place that didn't remind me of the past. The building where I found apartment 203 was discreet, a bit old, but welcoming at first glance. The rent was low, and the only condition was to avoid making noise after 10 p.m. The landlady was a small, frail woman who handed me the key with deep-set eyes and said something strange, "The 204 hears everything." I thought it was just the ramblings of an old lady, but I soon realized there was something very wrong with the wall dividing my room from the apartment next door. On the first night, I heard a rhythmic sound coming from the right wall, exactly at 3 a.m. It was like someone tapping their fingers, once every 5 seconds. I tapped back, impulsively, and the sound stopped. But about a minute later, it came back louder, as if I had annoyed whoever was on the other side. The next day, I went to apartment 204 to apologize, but no one answered. The door was dusty, with newspapers piled up outside. I asked the landlady, and she just said, "Don't worry about 204. It's been empty for years." I froze, because I was certain someone was in there. In the following days, the sounds got worse. There were muffled moans, sometimes scratching noises, other times what sounded like furniture being dragged in the middle of the night, all coming from the same wall. I started losing sleep. I spent nights lying awake with my phone in my hand, recording everything, but the audio always came out clear, as if the apartment fell into complete silence. I even thought I was going crazy, until one morning when I woke up to a word written in the condensation on my bathroom mirror: "Listen." The glass was cracked along the side, and the sound from the wall intensified every time I got near the bathroom, like it was echoing through the pipes. I tried to isolate the sound. I moved furniture, draped blankets, even used makeshift acoustic foam on the wall. Nothing worked. And then, something worse started happening. I began to feel breathing. It wasn't mine. It came from the side of the bed, the wall, the ceiling, as if someone was lying there with me in the dark. I started locking all the doors inside the apartment, including the closet. But every morning, the closet door was open, slightly ajar. On the 5th night, I woke up to the bed shaking. The sound behind the wall had turned violent, like nails digging into concrete. And when I opened my eyes, I saw the paint on the wall peeling, forming something that looked like a face. The next morning, I called a handyman on my own. I told him I needed to make a hole in the bedroom wall. He hesitated, said it was against the building rules, but I convinced him with extra pay. When we started drilling, the concrete inside was rotten. It smelled like old flesh, even though there were no pipes there. When he broke the 3rd brick, he turned pale and took 2 steps back. Inside the wall was a small hole, like a vertical grave, and inside it, a piece of cloth, part of a yellowed sheet, and a ring with a date, 1989. But there was no body. Just scratch marks on the inner walls. Whoever had been there had tried to escape. I left that apartment the same day. I barely took anything. Just my phone and my documents. Days later, I received an anonymous message on WhatsApp. It was a recording. When I played it, I heard my own breathing and a woman's voice in the background saying my name 3 times in a deep, wet whisper. After that, I changed my number, moved to a different city, and never went back to Portland. But sometimes, when everything is too quiet at night, I swear I hear the sound. That same sound behind the wall. Slow taps. One at a time. Waiting for me to respond. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone who needs a good scare. I'll be back soon with more real spine-chilling stories. Until then, watch out for what lives between the walls.